Now, General Jack Keane, retired four-star general, and you are in focus. Fox News strategic analyst and chairman of the Institute for the Study of War. General, let's start with the videos. And I mean, I don't know, maybe they're file videos. What is Russia trying to do? So it's showing us that it's pulling back, but we know that that's not true.
Yeah, well, it's pretty interesting what's happening here. What we do know through the Institute for the Study of War that I'm associated with, there have been some movements from Crimea of deployed forces in that vicinity to their bases, their home bases, which are also in the vicinity. And that's largely the video, from what I understand, that the Russians are actually showing. So the combat forces are still in the area. But I'll tell you what, Harris, this is really fascinating because the United States information campaign, releasing classified information to gain dominance over Russia in terms of what they are doing and reveal their actions, has largely put Russia on the defensive. It started with the coup against Zelensky in January. We released that information. The UK did the same. They were going to prop up a phony Ukraine leader to take over the government. The phony video that they were going to bring actors in to do. Also, to set the stage for an invasion. The false flag operations, some of those were going to be a little bit different for the same reason, sets the stage for an invasion. And then most recently, what Russia is still reacting to, in my view, is the administration's emphasis on attack is imminent. It started last week and it built to a crescendo over the weekend. And what happened as a result of that, listen to what happened as a result of that. Putin has been on the defensive for weeks saying, I'm not going to attack, I'm not going to attack. And then on Monday and Tuesday, both Putin and his foreign minister get involved in opening up a diplomatic path. And that path is, it appears to be somewhat real, and at the same time showing these videos. They are on the defensive as a result of this information campaign that the United States is conducting, and it's unprecedented, the scale of what this operation is all about.
So this would be a positive, and at the same time, the American people would have had to have been kept in the dark? I mean, because what you're saying is in complete opposition to what we're being told. What we did know, General, was that, yes, the White House, through Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, was saying, don't use the word imminent anymore. And suddenly, that was wiped away. So what you're saying, all of this was on purpose?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, you heard all what took place. I mean, Sullivan was up there saying that the conditions are set, they can attack any time. Actually, there was a release from a German newspaper that the attack was supposed to come on Wednesday.
Right.
But the release of this information, classified information, that has been going on for weeks, I think has put Putin's information campaign quite on a defensive. And I think it may have contributed somewhat to the opening of a diplomatic path here. And it's going to be assessed for some time to come because the scale of this has never been done like this before.
Did we have to get to this point is what the American people will be asking. And why are we engaged so heavily with regard to Ukraine? I think most people get Ukraine is not a NATO nation, and we don't want war in Europe for our NATO members that surround it, that border it. But at the same time, what you're saying is that everybody was lied to. We were lied to, Putin was lied to, and that it was necessary? I mean, look, I understand you can't tell everybody your strategy in wartime. I grew up with a war dad. I get that. I want to know, did we have to even get to this point? Couldn't we have, is there anything that would have been a better plan? I don't know. Because it sounds to me from what you're saying is Putin he also could not have believed it.
No, I mean, we're here for one reason only, and that's because Putin moved troops in March of 2021 on the border of Ukraine, and those troops then numbered somewhere in a neighborhood of 90,000. And he's using those forces to intimidate Ukraine. He wants to bring them under his sphere of influence and force Ukraine to stop looking towards the West. That is the problem. It's not the United States is not a problem here. He is the problem. Ukraine is not a problem here. Putin is the problem. It's his aggression. One of the good things that is coming out of this for the United States and for NATO is, despite some public disagreements over this issue in NATO, this has actually enabled NATO to focus on a singular issue which is bringing them together, and that's Russian aggression. And
does
that
Germany
is
get
a
to
good
keep its
thing for
pipeline?
NATO.
I mean, because the energy side of this has not been good for the United States. And I don't want to look at this through rose-colored glasses. Like, this journey has not been bump-free. And we've had a president who didn't want to answer any questions at times, like yesterday. So I'm just trying to understand, what does the future look like? And how do we get out of this without Russia thinking it got to win?
Well, the future, we don't know yet. This is largely in the hands and minds of Vladimir Putin. He has appeared to open up very consciously and quite publicly, because we haven't heard much from Putin, but we have heard the last couple of days, a diplomatic path. I think the issue is going to be here. He's looking for Zelensky and for other NATO members to make a statement that Ukraine will not join NATO. This is one of his obviously primary objectives. Now, Zelensky, if you watch his statements closely in the last 2 days, has softened his position on that. The German chancellor said Ukraine becoming a part of NATO is not an agenda item for NATO, so why are we going to go to war over something that is not even on the agenda?
Yeah.
That is a much different position than NATO's. That's a much different position than the U.S. NATO position. So there's some softening there that certainly would be a movement towards Putin's position on this. Whether that actually takes hold remains to be seen.
All of
remember,
this seems to be better news
there.
than what we have been given and getting. And
well,
so we will.
I don't think the United States. I mean, if Zelensky wants to make a public statement that he's not going to join NATO and he has no intention to join NATO, he has a right to make that statement. Well, our position would be, your joining NATO is based on your membership qualification. If you want to join NATO, after all, President Bush invited Ukraine to join NATO in 2008. Our position is it's open to you if you meet the conditions.
General Keane in Focus today. Thank you.